Doom, 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 ba ba da ba da 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 da. I guess too. I can't do it.
I know you're getting all the notes wrong, but I understand
so good.
I know the
Such a
thing
good song.
because I remember that it was some sort of classical piece, and it was used.
Prokofiev. It's a ballet.
I don't remember.
It's called the Dance
there was
of the Nights.
There was a
by
piece of
Prokofiev
software from the
from
company
his
Maxis.
Game ballet Romeo and Juliet. Oh, I'm
Right.
sorry. Were you talking?
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, there was it was from Romeo and Juliet. Is that what it was from?
Yes, the ballet Romeo and Juliet.
Well, that makes sense because I remember that it was there was a piece of software in the mid '90s called Klik and Play.
Click and play
from the Maxis Corporation company or whatever. It was a thing where you could make your own games, which there have been other things like that in subsequent years. But this one was, and it was just, you could program them and it came with its own like graphics and things that you could use. And it came with like stock music, and then it came with pre-made games. And one of them was this Romeo and Juliet game, which was basically just a copy of the old Popeye game, which was also itself a copy of another classic game. And I forget what that is. It's like Donkey Kong, basically.
Space Invaders. Oh,
no,
Donkey
it's like
Kong.
Donkey
Sure,
Kong,
sure,
where
sure.
you go up. I think, because I think Donkey Kong was originally intended to be a Popeye game, but he couldn't get the rights or something, and so they made Donkey Kong, and I guess somebody later must have just repurposed it for Popeye. But so there was the Romeo and Juliet game where you're Romeo and you have to like save Juliet from the devil. The game right.
I think I remember that part. That was Act 2. Was that Act? That was Act 3.
Yeah, no, and then there was the game came with that piece of music, but it was in MIDI format, and so you had to you just heard it through on your computer through general MIDI. So that's what that reminds me of, and that's my story.
It's because it literally is it. I just looked it up on the Reddits, and there's a thread. Does anyone remember Klik and Play from 9 years ago? And someone and this loving,
already 9 years ago. Yeah,
I know, this glowing review about it, and this person says, "I used to love it. Klik and Play became Klik and Create, which was then turned into the Games Factory, which eventually evolved into Multimedia Fusion. They're still developing them if you're interested."
Oh, I didn't know about any of this other stuff. I just knew about Klik and Play. And I was very sad because I created a few things in there, and then at one point I tried to install it on like a later system, and I think I could install the software, but my old files, creations were like I couldn't access them. It said they were corrupted or something.
Yeah,
and
that's probably true. They probably were. Anyway, you can buy the new version, the Fusion thing, and play it now, actually, and make your own games.
There's other ways to make games.
I'm in a great mood today. I'm in a great mood because we're doing a podcast, and because I'm just still on. Well, it's been a really kind of a roller coaster week, so I'm kind of up today. My weekend was I will tell you about it a little bit. It was complicated. There was a thing that happened that was the most ridiculous thing, and then the week before that, of course, we had our amazing episode.
We had that incredible podcast episode.
I can't believe we got Bill Gates on the show. I
know. Bill Gates was on the show, and we named our winner of our $1 million giveaway.
That was so satisfying.
Yeah, they still haven't contacted us to claim the prize, but hopefully you know who you are. But so you better hurry because it's going to expire. So. But yeah, we named and then we came up with a working solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. I remember it was actually a real. Yeah,
I thought it was interesting to have that panel discussion in the middle of our. As part of that, I was really glad you were able to get that together on such short notice after we pulled, how you pulled that topic out of the Mad Hat.
Yeah. It was probably the greatest podcasting episode that that one's gonna go down in the history books.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
so anyway,
we're going to include a link because I feel like some of our listeners might have missed that episode. The one that was scheduled for last week.
Right.
So we'll include a link here in the show notes to it in case you didn't get a chance to see it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you were in a good mood from that.
Just the best mood, right? And then riding on my high, it was just a short time later, it was the weekend. And last weekend, and which is great. And I did like nothing on. Let me back up a little bit. On after we recorded that amazing podcast, and I was feeling great. I went up to my bedroom, and my wife said, "Oh, well, tomorrow I feel like we should do something fun with the kids because school is going to start soon." And I want to do something fun with them because it's like their last hurrah before school. And I was like, "That's awesome." So she looked it up and she said, "What about tubing on a river?" And I was like, "You mean when you get in a tube and you're pulled behind a speedboat, and that's really fun because you go really fast?" And she said, "No, the other kind where you sit in a tube and you go down a river and it pulls you down the tube." And I said, "Oh, that could be fun."
Just the river because the current.
The current, and you get a tube for your cooler, and you bring a cooler and you fill it with your favorite beverages. So and your favorite snacks, and
there's
you eat.
There's a tube cooler that rides alongside you.
Exactly. Yes. And my wife is like, why we did this? And I said, "That's okay, but I have to work tomorrow." And she said, "Well, let's do it on the weekend."
So I'm assuming this isn't like whitewater. I mean, this is
no. It's a lazy river. It's like, imagine you might go to a water park and they have that lazy river ride, except it's a natural river. It's a real river, and it's typically longer. The lazy river you get around in like 10 minutes. This thing is supposed to last 4 hours.
Yeah. And
so anyway, my wife found this place and she's like, "This place is great, but it's got a ridiculous name. It's called Rip the Nip." And right. I said, you must be joking now. And she said, No. It's on the Nippersink River, which is a river near me, and you can rip it, which I guess means lazily flow down it on a tube.
That is the slang term for lazily float down a river. Rip it.
And so,
now I'm disappointed because I thought maybe this meant that the tubes that you're on are attached by a chain to nipple piercings on your body, so that it gives you extra incentive to not wipe out.
That's right. Exactly. No, don't. Oh gosh, no. I said, this is going to be great. This is going to be fun. And I was like, "Why don't we invite some friends?" And
yeah.
And Helen was like, "That's a great idea. Let's get our friends." So we got 2 other families and all of their children. There were 14 of us, 3 coolers. And 17 of us hopped into a bus and they drove us from our car to where they're going to drop us off at the place you're going to drop us off. And they're like, and the guy who was driving us, driving us over there, he was fine. He's like, doing his thing. And he's like, "All right, you got all the tubes and everything you need. Here's some rope so you can like lash your tubes together if you want to do that sort of thing. We'll see you in a bit." And we're like, "Awesome." So we like got into the water, and the water is like refreshing because it was super hot that day. And it was like, and we put our coolers on it and got everything all set and got the kids on the thing. And then we started floating down the river, and it was like, initially for the first, I would say 5 minutes, it was just perfect. and we're moving pretty slow on this river. This Nippersink River is not a large river. It's more of a canal. And and I noticed that the water level is a little low. Like just looking at the side, it's like maybe 2 feet down where it normally is.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's no big deal. But then as we were going along, we noticed that there are these like branches, these trees that have fallen across the canal, fallen across the river.
Oh.
And that happens. No big deal, but there's ways to get around it. So they gave each of us, along with our tube, they gave us a paddle. Like a paddle that you might
to have, yeah.
Right, but not like a canoe paddle made of wood, and not like even like a kayak paddle, which is long. This thing is like maybe 3 feet long.
They gave you a foam noodle.
It's like it's like maybe 3 feet long, and it's got this tiny little blade. So it's about as effective as moving a stick through the water.
You might as well just use your hand. Yeah.
You might as well use your hand. But anyway, here I am with the paddle. So we like paddle around the little branch, and it was exciting. And it's very exciting because there's a branch in the way, and and maybe we get stuck against it or something, so we go around it. It's like, oh, it's great. And then it's like back to like super cool thing, and then the water gets a little shallow, it gets a little more rapids like because the water moves fast. But we and some of us get stuck, but we stand up and we walk along a little bit farther because the water was so low. Put our tubes down, no big deal. Everyone's in good spirits. And as we're going down the river, it's a hot day. We start opening our beverages. We're enjoying our beverages. We're enjoying our snacks. It's a wonderful day. And after about 2 hours, we noticed that the river is really starting to get a lot of stuff in the way. Like there wasn't just this one thing in the beginning, but there's just been a bunch of things along the way on the river that just had fallen down. And we're navigating around, no big deal. And then there's this one spot where there's like a series of trees, and there's like a little canal between them, and it's like really hard, and everyone's got to go single file in their tubes, and it becomes this complicated thing. And at this point, everyone's starting to get a little bit annoyed, like oh well, it's a little bit not as lazy river as we'd wanted, right? Hope we just sit there,
yeah. But
it says all this junk there. It's like, oh, okay. Anyway, so we're getting down the river, and one of these adults who are with us climbs out of his tube in order to because he was getting stuck against the ground. He's getting beached against the ground and starts walking it, and then trips and falls on the ground and loses his glasses instantly in the dark water.
My glasses.
And that's exactly what he said. And then he said, they repeated it, like, my glasses. And he's blind without glasses. And we were like, okay, like this is, that happens. So we stop for a second. Some people float along, and the rest of us stop and try to find, but there's nothing, can't find anything. The water is just totally opaque. And as rivers sometimes are. And anyway, so he's like, so that's a little bit of a bummer, but he hops back in the thing. We're going along. This was a warning. This was a warning to future us that something wasn't right with this trip. And
it's the foreshadowing,
yeah, foreshadowing. So we go along, and
it requires its own music cue there, yeah.
So we started at like 1 o'clock, and so now it's about 5 o'clock. We've been there for about 4 hours, but none of us have
3 hours. No, that's 4 hours. Oh,
none of us. Yeah, none of us have like our it's COVID brain right there. None of us have our cell phones with us because they would get wet. So we're just
you got to put it in a little Ziploc baggie and put it in your cargo shorts.
So we have a wet bag, which has all of our important things in it.
Okay,
and it is sealed, but it's not transparent, so you can't see it. So, but we're like we're just floating along. It's like, what's the big deal, right? It's just supposed to be a chill day. We don't need our phones. We don't want people to call us. So anyway, we're floating down the thing, and we're like, we better stop for some dinner, which we brought. So it's like, okay, everyone's getting a little cranky, no problem. So we stop the wagon. Everybody's off.
So this guy find the glasses?
No,
he never found his glasses.
They're deleted. They were deleted from the universe as soon as they hit the water. and which is fine, but he just means he can't see anything ever. Again. And so we stopped for dinner. We handed out the dinner. Everyone was fine. We handed out some desserts. It was great. Everyone's feeling good again. Everyone's got some more energy, some more sugar. And we started floating down the river, and there's still just more of these sticks. Like every minute, it's just like we're having to move around these huge trees, and it's just like super frustrating. But finally, another hour after that, there's this guy who's in a jet ski.
Yeah.
And he comes up and he's like, "Hi, I'm Captain Ron." I don't remember his name. He's like, "Hi, I'm Captain Ron." And he's like, "Are you the so-and-so people floating down the river?" And I was like, no. And he's like, "Oh, I think it's you. You got 14 people and 3 tubes." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess that's us." And he's like, "Awesome. So, how's it going?" It's like, "Do you have a flat tube?" And I was like, "Nope." And he said, "Well, do you need a..." And he said, I thought you guys had some kind of flat tube or something. And I was like, nope, no, we're doing fine. And he was like, "Oh, really?
The River Ranger?"
And he's like, no, he has he's branded. He's got the Rip the Nip merch all over him.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Which I imagine is very painful. Anyway, and so he So he's like, oh, he's like, oh, well, if you're doing okay, I thought you guys needed help or something. And I was like, no, we're just cruising down the river. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he waits there. And he waits there and he watches us. Anyway, so we're floating down the river, and then he continues to tail us, like idling this boat, and the river starts to move very, very slowly, like less than 1 mile an hour, less than a half a mile an hour. It starts to just sort of drizzle, like you might be in a lake and you don't know it. And every time the wind blows, we move up river. And that's not a good sign. And then this guy is maybe like 100. Maybe this guy's maybe like 300 feet behind us, and he's just sort of like sitting there in his thing, and we're like, what's going on? And so some people, the smart people, they jump into their tube. They put their feet on the ground and they start walking, and they start pulling the children we have with us along. So every adult gets like 2 or 3 kids, and they start to pull, or a cooler. And they start like pulling them along, because if we just wait there, we don't move anywhere, because the wind is blowing against us. The current is stopped for some reason.
So it's shallow enough to...
It's shallow enough to walk along, yes.
Right, so you're... Okay.
And the bottom is covered in sticks and broken glass. And I don't know why that's like considered a natural bottom, but it is. Or rocks.
Rip the nip. That's what they call it.
So everyone is walking across and slowly damaging their bodies. And I'm like, but the ground is also kind of muddy, and I was like, I don't want to put my feet in that. So I was like, I'm going to just row, because I have my paddle. So I start to paddle like along. And after about half an hour, we still haven't reached the end. And now we're like maybe like 6 hours into this, and of this 4-hour tour. And it was supposed to be over, and we're like, man, what's going on? But of course, there's like a curve in the river up ahead, and we're like, oh, we're just got to get to the curve, and no problem. And so everyone starts to like really like, the people who are walking, everybody, all the other smart adults are like running through the water in slow motion, pulling the kids and the things behind them. The kids are still having a great time, and they turn the corner, and there's nothing. And there's just more river, and we're like, huh. This is weird. And the more we, and then the sun, we notice the sun's like really low in the horizon. It's starting to get like lower and lower.
Oh, God.
And it's getting colder as well. Like some of the kids start to shiver, like, because they're freezing. And the water becomes much warmer than the air. And that's like, oh yeah, that's cold. Anyway, but I'm like, I don't want to get my feet wet. So here I am paddling. And of course, paddling turns out with this stick, with this non-paddle is very inefficient. So I'm moving much slower than everyone else. So everyone else starts to pull ahead of me. But I'm in the back. I'm like, no, this is going to work. And so I just keep going. And every so often I look behind me, and there's this guy in his jet ski, and he's just sort of like going back and forth, because his jet ski idling is way faster than us. So every so often he has to stop and just wait on the bank for us to get far enough ahead for him to go back in the jet ski. And I'm like, what is going on? What is he doing? Like, if he came closer, I'd be like, dude, can we have a ride or something? But anyway, and so finally... it becomes... Well,
there's not much he can't transport 14 people on the jet ski. So
but maybe he could pull us. Maybe there are ropes. Maybe he could just pull us one at a time. I bet even if he were to pull us to one person to the destination.
He's not paid enough to do that.
Well, that's funny because you say that, because then we get to because then the sun sets. And we're not at the end yet. I'm not at the end yet. It's now 7 o'clock. So we've been. It's now 8 o'clock. So we've been on the river 7 hours, and finally around this last corner, and I'm like, the river is going, and then next to the river there's this little lake, and it's just filled with algae because the water is so still, it doesn't even register. And here I am paddling on the thing. And I don't see anyone else in front of me. Everyone else has pulled ahead, but I've got these 2 kids behind me, and I'm pulling them along on these things, and they're all being bonkers because they're tired.
So they've left you behind now.
They've left me behind because they've been running through. All the smart adults are running through the water, and here I am paddling on this thing, and I've been paddling now for an hour and a half. Everything about my arms hurts. Because I wasn't expecting for this to be a workout. I was expecting to be a lazy river.
Imagine.
it was sold to me as like a lazy river experience. So here I am trying to be lazy, but instead I'm actually paddling. Anyway, so finally I see in the far end there's this group of people who are dancing by the shore, and there's the fourth bridge that marks the end of our journey. There it is in the distance. And I'm like, oh, this is great. So I see them, and I see it's my family. It's these other people. They're all dancing up and down for joy because I have finally arrived. We pull up, and they're like, oh, it's so great, we finished, that's so awesome, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, we take our pictures, they take all of the people who own the place are there. They're like, oh, say cheese, take a picture. We hop in our cars and start driving home. And I'm thinking the whole time, like, something went wrong. Like, I feel awful. Like, I feel my arms hurt. I'm tired. This went on like way longer than we expected. What's going on? And my wife looks at me and she said, what did you say to the guy on the jet ski? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, they sent him out because we were late. Like, when he came out, they were looking for us because they thought something had happened to us. And I said, oh, well, he asked if we had a flat tube. And I told him no. And she said, well, they thought we had a flat tube because we were taking so long. And I was like, oh. She said, when he offered to give us a ride, what did you say? And I went, what? I went, what? What ride? And she said he was supposed to tow us back. Why didn't you agree? Because we've been running through this water. She's like, my legs hurt. Like, I've been running all day, running through this water for 2 hours. And I was like, he never said that. Please don't be angry with me. And she's like, everyone was like, all the adults were like, there was a towing option?
You spoke for everyone.
And it turns out that, there was some kind of miscommunication. So anyway, we finally arrived at our car at 8:30. So it took us 7.5 hours to go to the thing. And I think the reason was because the water level was low and it was moving slower than normal. And also, I should have flagged the guy down in some other way.
Right. I guess. But I mean, it sounded like you responded in a reasonable way, because at that point it wasn't like you weren't.
That's right.
From your perspective, you guys weren't in a desperate situation. You were just like, you're just kind of annoying, and you didn't want to be a bother. You're like, no, we're okay. And then he's just watching you the whole time after that, and he's like, well. He's
thinking to himself, why did they not want the tow? They look really miserable, but maybe they're just really into that sort of thing.
The guy told me 3 hours ago they don't need help. I'm just going to assume nothing's changed.
Oh my gosh. Anyway.
Wow.
So we came home, and I was thinking to myself, like, I don't ever want to talk about this with anybody.
So that's why you've chosen to do it here. Yeah.
And in that way, well, I'm just talking to you now.
Because I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody. That's right.
Exactly. And so anyway, and then the next day I sent a text message to everybody, all the adults, and I was like,
I'm so sorry.
It's like, if you've heard a rumor about there being a towing option, let me assure you, I only discovered it when we got to the car as well. I knew nothing about the towing option before that moment. Everyone was very gracious. They were like, it's no problem, of course.
That sounds like that wasn't as fun as planned. I mean, it could have been worse. You could have had Kevin Bacon and John C. Reilly trying to kill you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But it's that sounds so. Everybody be warned. All our listeners. This is what you're in for if you're planning on ripping the nip.
Oh gosh.
Well, that I guess I guess my weekend was better, even though I didn't do anything. I didn't even tell everybody what they heard at the beginning. I forgot.
I was so excited.
No,
to
it's
tell you
fine.
the story.
It's fine. It's okay. But what you heard at the beginning was the movie cliches. It's from the album "Home from Doing Groceries," And that was the song Single Brown Paper Bag with a Head of Romaine and a French Baguette Peeking Out from the Top. So that was it. That's what you heard at the beginning. Man, I mean, that was a good story, but it was long. And now we don't even have time to pull from the Mad Hat. Bye, everybody.
Bye. What you're listening to?
No, we have to. We have to do it. We got to pull from the Mad Hat.
No, we don't. No, we don't. I don't know how we're going to top last week's Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Mean, listen, I've got the UN on hold. So in case we pull another interesting topic like that, so
I thought Henry Kissinger was dead. Like, I don't even know how you pulled that off. I just am really impressed. Yeah,
it's we've been on the, we've been doing this for 9 months. I mean, we've made some connections by now.
That's true.
Anyway, before we pull from the Mad Hat, I want to tell you. You had an argument with me. I can't say I have to tell you.
Right. Correct.
I really want to tell you that this podcast was brought to you by Salinger and Sons Delivery Services. Her first steps. Teaching her to ride a bike. Being there on her graduation day. There are some things that can't be replaced. At Salinger and Sons, we know there's nothing you wouldn't do for your daughter. That's why we're committed to the needs of you and your loved ones with our Kidnapped Daughter Delivery Services. With Kidnapped Daughter Delivery, you can take comfort in knowing you'll finally be reunited with that beautiful little girl you've watched grow into an amazing young woman, the streaks of mascara still marking her tear-strewn face as she collapses into your arms and her voice shakes with sobs of, "Oh, Daddy, thank God I was so scared they said they were going to kill me." As you watch our discreet, unmarked delivery van speed into the distance and mutter, "It's all right, baby, you're safe now," you'll be able to experience for yourself why Salinger and Sons is the #1 provider in America when it comes to kidnapped daughter reunion coordination. At Salinger and Sons, we know how much your daughter means to you. You've made it obvious by never having forgiven yourself for screwing things up after not being able to deal with the death of her mother, causing your relationship to become strained and culminating in a heated exchange in which you said some things you immediately regretted. And although you tried, upon having to hear your daughter tell you she hates you, to call after her as she stormed out, the two of you haven't spoken in years, causing you to drink every day until one day when you accidentally shot an unarmed kid while on duty and your boss told you to take the rest of the week off. Salinger and Sons is here to help. When you go to pick up your daughter at her apartment for the dinner date you planned with her to finally heal old wounds, you'll notice the door is ajar and immediately pull your Smith & Wesson Model 29 from its holster and enter to find a ransacked residence and no sign of your daughter save for a single earring on the carpet from the pair you bought her for her birthday 4 years ago. Salinger and Sons works discreetly, so when your cell phone rings at the exact moment of your sickening realization, you won't even know we're behind it all. Getting started is super easy. During your initial courtesy call, our staff of trained professionals will provide you with detailed instructions on exactly what you need to do if you ever want to see your daughter again. Then, when you bring $500,000 in small unmarked bills in a black briefcase to the parking lot on Lorraine and Wilshire, just sit back and relax and leave the details to us. Other than the money, there's nothing you need to bring, so come alone and unarmed and don't try anything stupid. And our team works fast. Once you arrive at the exchange location, simply call us to let us know you're here with the money and to ask, "Where's my daughter, goddammit?" And our cream-colored cargo van will emerge barreling seemingly out of nowhere and come to a screeching halt 20 feet in front of you. After our passenger seat technician verifies the contents of the briefcase, the van's side door will slide open and your bound and gagged daughter will be pushed violently out by our team of machine gun-wielding masked package handlers, where she will fall to her knees as the vehicle speeds away, tires screaming. It's that easy. Salinger and Sons even provides a free over-the-phone consultation during which you can demand to hear your daughter's voice to verify that she is unharmed by asking, "Maggie, are you okay? Did they hurt you, Maggie?" And the best part, the kidnapping itself is 100% free of charge. So what are you waiting for? Come see why Salinger and Sons is the nation's top choice for intensely suspenseful, high-stakes circumstances which serve as a catalyst for rekindling your relationship with an estranged loved one. Salinger and Sons. Not another step, or she dies.
Warning, Salinger & Sons highly recommends you heed your daughter's request when she begs, please just let it go, Daddy, I don't want to see you get hurt. After you suddenly put the pieces together that it was us all along when remembering a moment during one of our phone calls to you in which we taunted, what are you doing these days, Jack? Still keeping Pico Boulevard drug-free? A reference you didn't pick up on at the time, but now remember as being the location of the drug raid you oversaw involving convicted felon Carson Salinger, prompting you to curse Salinger, that son of a bitch. I should have known he's going to pay for what he did. So there you go.
Do they have like a website or a phone number or something?
They do have a website. It's on something called the dark web, though. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, but you just need to take those initial steps, and they will come to you. Make no mistake. Let's take a look at our Mad Hat here. What's that?
Are you reaching into the Mad Hat?
I was, and I'm not anymore.
Good listener, if you want to get your ideas submitted to the Mad Hat, you need to go only to www.matthatters.com, MATTHETTERS.com, and you too can add your ideas to the Mad Hat.
That's right. Ooh, that's right. And the topic for today. Oh, did I put this one in here? I thought I took this one out of here because I thought it sucked. Anyway, the topic for today is what makes a video game good.
Didn't we talk about that already?
I mean, we've talked about video games. But I suppose this is just a loaded question about the whole thing.
I think you and I disagree about this pretty significantly, actually.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Because you have the attention of a 3-year-old.
Right.
And if the game does not keep you interested within 5 seconds and continues to be interesting at every 5 seconds thereafter, you grow bored of it and put it down.
Yes. I figure this is a game. It's supposed to be fun, and if it isn't, then it's a waste of my time. I'm not getting. This isn't like no pain, no gain. I have to work hard to reap the benefits of my career or something. No, this is
right.
Come on, I'm wasting time here. I don't want to wasting time.
Right, exactly. Whereas I, on the opposite perspective, think that games are like there are many ways of having fun besides just paying hookers and whatever else you do during the games you play and shooting people and jumping.
Right, but I mean I don't think any of my favorite games involve paying hookers or shooting people. Or at least, I mean, yeah, sometimes shooting people, but not for any reason that has to do with paying hookers.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mischaracterize you there.
Yeah,
I think I've been playing. I played a lot of games in my day, many games, and I think that they really can be really fun and interesting, even if they don't fill me with a feeling of adrenaline. So, for example, I just played this game called Summer Pause. Which is a game where you try to find cats on an island. That's it.
Yeah.
There are cats.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
And you have to find them. And it's a game that is boring and chill, and it's not exciting at all. And it was lovely because I got to play it and I got to feel chill while playing it. It was great. It induced the feeling of chill, which was exciting to me. I know that you would be bored with this game instantly. You would pick it up and you'd play it you'd move around and be like, okay, I guess that's cool. And then after one level, you'd be like, well, okay. I did it. I gave it a try.
It's funny because I have I've thought about what I look for in video games, what I like in video games, but it's hard to, just by analyzing some of my favorite games or whatever, but it's hard to do that because there's exceptions, and no matter what I say, I'm hypocritical because I'm like, I don't like this kind of thing in video games, and you're like, well, what about this particular game this is true of? And then I'm like, oh yeah, so it's I don't know, but I tend to I don't like RPGs that which is short for role playing games,
right?
Which in my opinion is kind of a misnomer because I mean. Isn't every video game a role-playing game?
No. You don't care about games for their story almost ever.
Well, I mean,
like you don't care about games for the stories. You don't care about games for their characters or their characterization.
I mean,
you don't care about games.
That doesn't mean I don't get excited by what has happened, but like, I think
care about games because of the immersion, like the immersive experience.
Yes, and I like plot twists and things, but it's a very shallow kind of like, oh damn, kind of plot twist. The kind of thing when you watch a movie and you go, well, this is just like a dumb action movie, and I saw that plot twist coming. But in a video game, I like it because I'm involved in it, and I'm controlling it. Like it,
and that's great.
You can get away with crappier stories in video games than you can in a passive form of entertainment.
I also think it's harder to craft more elaborate stories in video games because you have to account for the player's agency.
Yeah.
And so, like, if the player decides, I don't want to hurt the bad guy, I want to like negotiate with him or something, but your game mechanic only forces you to fight him, then that sort of puts this jarring, weird thing in the player's mind. And they're like, I don't want to do this.
And I don't. It's not that I don't like story. You're right. It's like it's not relevant to me. Like if the game isn't fun in other ways, then I don't care what the story is because I don't. I don't know. And part of it maybe is like the actor in me has influenced part of that because video games notoriously have such terrible like voice acting and stuff. And, and then when you play one of these games that has like the best top of the line graphics and they have these characters just like standing around talking and having these sort of dramatic reactions on their faces. And I'm like, I don't believe anything. Like it takes me out of it. It's hard for me to even get into just pure story. I tend to not like cutscenes in video games where I'm just watching something because I'm like, this is not. This is terrible. This is like watching a really bad like amateur movie.
Right.
Leave the movie making to the movies.
When I was just watching a speed run of a game which was lauded for its breadth in particular, called Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a dumb name. And but I was noticing this very thing in the cutscenes where there are dialogue options. When you go to talk to someone, you see a standard movie trick where it just shows one person on one side of the frame looking towards the other direction, and then the camera will cut to see the reaction of the other person's shot. It'll be like a shot, reaction shot, back and forth, conversation style. Yeah. And whenever it goes to you, like the protagonist who you're playing, then you get to pick what the protagonist is going to say, and that affects how the person you're talking to reacts. And so it gives you some agency and some choice. But anyway, of course, because it's your choice is what happens, you can take as long as you want deciding what you want to do. There's no time limit. And as such, during that intermediate time, what you're watching on the screen, the character, your protagonist has to do something to like fill the space. Yeah. And what the character does is like, so your character will like blink, to fill the space or like shuffle around and like move or whatever. But none of it looks natural. It looks like it's playing the blink animation or it's playing the, like the fidgeting animation. None of it feels like really normal. Yeah. And for me, that doesn't bother me in the video game because these are proxies for the real game, which is going on in my head. But to you analyze it as like if it were a movie, especially in these moments where you don't have a lot of control over the game. Especially, and then you're like, this is terrible.
Especially since video game developers put so much effort into trying to make their games look cinematic. And I feel like that's a mistake. I feel like they should not try to compete with movies as much because they're never going to be able to, because even the best movie, you can tell the special effects aren't real. So like, how is a video game, or whatever. But I think I don't like cutscenes. And so my favorite game is Half-Life. And I thought one of the things that was brilliant about that game, I mean, like you said, is immersive, which I love. With all the sounds and the sort of like the kind of realistic environments that make you feel like places you've been to, even though it's like a totally made up place. But what I love about it is they were like, okay, this is a first-person shooter. Let's go all the way with that and make it a completely first-person shooter, meaning you start the game and you never break the character's first-person perspective or your ability to control what you see. And they just trusted that you would experience the story, all the things you were supposed to see, based on how well they designed it. And yeah, it was like, you know, they would a chapter would pop up on screen and say, here's the next level, but you wouldn't. There would be no break in your in what you're seeing.
Right.
But yeah, I think the things I value most in video games are some version of cleverness is, I think, my favorite thing. Like, even in action games, like I like puzzle games. I like those, like some of those real-time strategy games, like, you know, a Command and Conquer or Rise of Nations. I've played a lot. And I like, but even in like action games, like in platformers, my favorite thing is, like, I don't even care if the story is like interesting or complicated. It's just melodrama, right? You have to go save the princess or save, you know, somebody, and there's a villain, and you got to get to the villain and like fight these bosses along the way. And the drama of that, building towards that, is enough for me. Like you play a level and you have to fight the big boss, and like, oh my god, and that excitement is fine. But I love just like the way the game is crafted, where you you know, you're running and you run into one type of enemy, and you're like, oh, this enemy does this particular thing. Oh, I see, I have to jump over him or something. And then later on, they like one-up that, and they say, well, now you have to not only deal with this enemy, but this other thing that like complicates it in this clever way that you had seen before. And they just keep building on that.
Right. When I think of that, I always think Mega Man is like one of the best examples of that, because they always do such a good job of going to a screen, you see the Hammer Joe, whatever, throwing his little thing, but in a way that can't hurt you. Because you're just supposed to watch, like, oh, that's what he's going to do. And then in the next screen, suddenly he's like right there, and there's like three of them. They're all doing crazy stuff, and you're like, you know, like, and you're having to like navigate.
Yeah, the Mega Man games are okay. I mean, I think the Mega Man games are really like just cool visually and fun to kind of play through, even though they're too damn hard. So I just play them with the codes. But my favorite thing about the Mega Man games is I just love the music of the Mega Man games. It's like the best video game music ever. My favorite my favorite platformers are, well, see, I like the Mario games from this century when they became 3D and became really awesome. But I think for me, the first like a game that totally made platformers seem amazing to me, and not just kind of like, oh, okay, we designed this level where this person's jumping around, was Donkey Kong Country. And the Donkey Kong Country games, both the first one and especially the second one, and the third one's good too, but the second one's my favorite. That is like just the most clever level design, in my opinion, and it's so fun to play, like all the mechanics and everything. And I think for me, I actually prefer when the game has like a storyline that's laid out for me, and I can appreciate how well that storyline was crafted and designed for me to be entertained by it, as opposed to the type of game where you get to sort of discover things and stuff. That in fact, that kind of stresses me out, because I'm like, which way do I go? Which way am I supposed to go?
to me, that's exactly the opposite of the games I like games where there is a hidden thing that you must find, and the game rewards you for that exploration. And either exploration mechanically or exploration through the story or through the characters or whatever, but like that, or the level, you know, obviously. But that's just all super fun. I love it.
Yeah, I know. I've noticed that you are talking about these games where like you have to do that, and I'm like, I don't like this.
Well, I mean, because like there's,
but I love creative games. So like I love Minecraft, because you're directly building and creating something, not necessarily going out and discovering things. So I like things being open-ended in that way, I guess.
I've recently started playing Minecraft again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pulled me back in.
I mean, you can never. It's always good to revisit. It's always fun.
Hey, I have a video clip I want you to watch.
Okay.
And I think it'd be interesting to hear have our audience listen to your live reactions to what you're seeing.
All right. Am I going to be able to see this? We got screen sharing. I think it should.
No.
Work.
I'm gonna chat it to you, and then you can watch it however you want. And then everyone can react.
Oh.
This is the very clip that I watched, and I thought of you, and I was like, oh, I wonder what he's gonna think about. So the premise here is of this game I was just talking about, Horizon Zero Dawn. There's the premise is there's a main character. She's waking up on the dawn of the end of this big battle that's going to happen. And the battle is between this supposedly unstoppable force of robots that is going to destroy this civilization. And she is going to stand on the balcony with the king of this town, and they are going to get ready for the battle, mentally ready, and they're going to talk about it for a second, and they're going to watch the battle beginning to happen. And you can the clip is maybe 50 seconds long, and you can watch it, and you can tell me what you think about the acting and what you think about it live as we go.
Oh, okay.
Go for it.
All right. Okay.
So coming up here is the healer's fight, which is fairly simple.
So,
you just have to walk up to him and shoot him twice.
Constant uncanny valley effect.
It's
nice.
Up and down, side to side. He's basically just dancing all over the place.
Ah, yes. She looks very, very cross-eyed.
He has a ton of which do a lot of damage because they have
everybody's
can hit you instantly.
Kind of doing a Peter Falk impersonation. They all have like one glass eye.
Sure,
it's good.
you don't take enough damage because you can just get melted.
Okay, that's a cool effect.
But if you
Ooh,
hit the 2 shots without missing,
he widened his face slightly.
And then after that,
That's good puppetry. I don't know if it's good acting, but it's good puppetry.
Also, my favorite.
All right.
To have a fight like that.
These giant walking mech things are pretty awesome, though.
No question. That's the appeal of the game. It's not the humans. It's the giant
and
mech
also
things.
right here we got the.
Anyway, so the king's watching the destruction of his civilization, and he's just like, he's like, hey. Anyway, there we go.
That's it. Okay, that's all you need me to watch.
I mean, that's all you can watch. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's just I can't do it. I can't play games like that which have that kind of. I remember when you played you suggested Hades. I bought Hades and I started playing it, and you were talking about how how you thought all the voice acting was great or whatever, and I read about it that like this game had all this acclaim for having like all of this voice acting. It was like
yes,
these people created all these different characters.
Yes,
and I was like, this game is pretty good, but the terrible voice acting is just really bothering me. That was the one thing I didn't like about it. And then I finally found a way to turn off the voice. Because they still show you the text of that you can read of what the characters are saying. So yes. I was like, I turned off the voice sound, and I was like, oh, this is so much better. It was a relief, and I was like, now the game is fun.
I just think there's this new game out called 12 Minutes. I think that's what it's called, and it's got actual actors doing the voices, like William Dafoe.
Right. That would be better.
It's got very. I would say it's got very mixed reviews. I think I sent it to you, didn't I, or something?
I don't know.
It's got very mixed reviews. Some people say it's really great, and some people are like, this is an example of how bad everything is in the world. Here it is. So I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, but maybe to you. Because maybe maybe real actors can make a difference.
I don't know. I mean, that's not the only thing that makes a game worth playing. That's my point. Is it's not a movie. I don't care. It's a game. The game's got to be fun, and that's all that matters. Like I will tolerate, I guess, bad voice acting in video games, but the game's got to be fun. And by the way, speaking of Hades, like I played it for a while, but I got tired of it because it had the same problem. I didn't mention the thing I don't like about RPGs is the repetitiveness. I don't like doing the same thing over and over again, like 800 times before you finally like get some kind of upgrade, and then you're like, oh, okay. I mean, yeah, I like the game to move along in that way I described of having like things that like a level that's designed for you that progresses at every step. Because I have the attention span of a 3-year-old, like you said. We gotta end this episode. It's
what
we have to, because we talked a long time. You had a long story, which was good, and then we talked. I mean, we picked the topic that we both love talking about, and so we just I mean, it's not like there isn't more to say about video games, but we can't.
Maybe you're right. Maybe that is enough for today. All right.
I think it's enough.
Well,
my recording says 54 minutes right now. Oh.
Huh. Mine says 2 hours and 50 minutes.
Well, oh my God. Oh, that's
maybe that's just what it. Maybe that's just what it feels like to talk to you.
Oh, you fucking piece of shit. No, what it is, I think, is that you're because we're in different locations. Time moves differently for the two of us.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's relativity right there.
That's right. So this was relatively enjoyable, I guess. I keep my ankles keep popping. All those pops you hear, that's my ankle going.
You should get a pop filter for your ankle.
Oh yeah, that was it. That was the joke. That was the one of the day.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. What are we going to listen to on the way out?
We're going to listen. Thanks for listening, everybody. And be sure to check out the last episode that for some reason everyone seems to have missed. In the notes below.
It's got Bill Gates.
That's right. And we will send you off today with a track from the recently released 9 Inch Nails tribute album. Here is Julie Andrews with her rendition of Closer.